I would agree. What do you think his legacy will be in professional wrestling?
I think his legacy is going to be that hardcore and an ECW original. But I think when you look at guys that identify with ECW as far as singles, you're going to look at RVD and Tommy Dreamer, but RVD is going to be at the top of that heap.
Let's do some questions, and we're going to do them right now. And we got these questions from Facebook. We're going to do them rapid fire. And if you'd like to ask a question for next week's episode, which will be Unforgiven 1998, that's right, a fucking Inferno match. The Undertaker and Kane in a ring of fire, for real. We're going to be covering that next week. And if you've got a question, you can ask those questions right now on Facebook and Twitter. On Facebook, it's easy. It's facebook.com/something to wrestle. And you also get lots of other stuff. Like as soon as our show debuted on the WWE Network this past week, Bruce was on there answering your follow-up questions about WrestleMania 14 live. You never know when Bruce is going to do that. But I do know that nearly every day he does the Morning Deuce with Bruce, and you get a little bit extra on your Bruce Prichard content. So check it out there. Or on Twitter, we're at Prichard Show. Bruce, are you ready for these questions?
Fire off.
Robert wants to know, were there any other points in RVD's career where he was slotted to come in or came very close to winning the world's title other than his 06 run?
No, there weren't. When he originally came in, Paul pushed really hard for him to come right in and win the championship, but it was never a serious idea.
Shade wants to know, what was Vince's overall opinion of Rob Van Dam?
I think at first the jury was out with Vince, but once Rob kind of established himself, I think that Vince genuinely liked Rob.
Carl wants to know, did Bruce ever partake in the herb with Mr. Van Dam?
In Vancouver, yes, I did, at Blunt Brothers Cafe. Should I tell that story?
Let's do it.
Okay. So in Vancouver, there's a block where, like, I think 4 blocks square where pot was legal. Now, you couldn't buy it. However, if you had it, you could smoke it at some of these cafes and coffee shops, what have you. So a buddy of mine and I got there early, and we wanted to go and see what this coffee shop thing in Vancouver was all about. And I got there and immediately went to the crew guys because they always know where to go and what to do. And I said, hey, what's the deal with the pot being legal? And I said, well, what you do is you go to this place called Blunt Brothers. You go in and you go to the back, and there's going to be a jukebox there. You go to the jukebox and you stand there and look at the jukebox. There's a sign on the jukebox, and it says out of order. But you still look like you're going to pick a song, and a guy's going to come up to you and he's going to say, hey, it's out of order, but I'm not. Just tell him what you want, and he'll give you whatever you need, and then you can smoke it in there and have coffee and cookies or whatever. So my buddy and I get there, and we go to Blunt Brothers Cafe. We go back to the back, and I'm looking around for a jukebox. I don't see a jukebox. So I remember he said it was near the bathroom. I'm thinking, is it in the bathroom? So I go in the bathroom. There's no jukebox. A little disappointed because we have nothing to smoke. We don't know anybody there. And we start to walk out. And as we start to walk out, the guy at the front says, hey, is RVD coming by later on? And we realize, okay, he knows who we are, and he knows who Rob is. I'm going to go ask him. And I go back, I don't know. But, hey, can you tell me what the gimmick is here? He says, well, it's legal to have and to smoke. However, you can't buy it. We can't sell it, and you can't buy it in here. So, well, how do you get it if you don't have any? We came over from the States. We don't have anything with us. He says, well, that's easy. You go down to the bottom of the hill, and there's a bar. You go in the bar, and you go to the back, and there's a jukebox. Now, the jukebox is going to have a sign on it, out of order. But you stare at the jukebox, and after a while, a guy's going to come up to you and say, hey, it's out of order, but I'm not. Tell them what you need, and then you can bring it back here and smoke it. Right about that time, around the corner comes RVD, and we were saved. So it was the first time I ever smoked oil and all kinds of stuff. But, yeah, I partook with RVD legally in Vancouver, British Columbia at Blunt Brothers Cafe. Highly recommended.
Doug wants to know, who had the better frog splash, RVD, Eddie, or D'Lo?
I'm partial to Eddie.
Manny wants to know, did Vince ever want to cut RVD's hair?
Yes.
What's the story?
Because he thought Rob looked good with short hair.
Okay. Jerry wants to know, did Bruce and Vince know what RVD 420 stood for?
Well, yeah, wasn't that the tag team 4 thing and 20 shoe size?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Ryan says, it really bothers me RVD blew his chance with the world titles. He was always one of my favorites and an amazing performer. He's finally getting his big push. What do you think his full potential could have been had that not happened? Could he have main evented a WrestleMania?
I think that Rob could have main evented a WrestleMania. I think that Rob would have done well in Hollywood as well. I think that Rob could have been kind of that matinee idol guy for the company.
Well, there you go. Patty wants to know, were there ever any plans to push RVD back into the title scene after his suspension?
I think Vince wanted to kind of play it out and see what happened, but initially, no.
Brian wants to know, who was RVD's best tag team title partner? Booker T, Kane, or Rey Mysterio?
My favorite was Kane.
I actually liked the Rey one the best. Matthew wants to know, why was RVD not given a push similar to the one he had in ECW with the TV title?
I think he was.
I would agree with that. I mean, he had opportunities. Rex wants to know, we've heard a lot about this. Did RVD ever have to put anyone in their place, quote unquote, while he was with the company?
No, not that I know of ever. Not in WWE, no.
Sean wants to know, what was the WWE stance on RVD's relationship with marijuana when it came to the wellness policy? Great question, Sean.
Don't flunk the drug test.
So the gimmick, you assume, is he's trying to cut corners, but you got to catch him, right?
Well, yeah, and all that was random. It goes in a computer and however the hell they come up with it, and guys who were tested, and I don't even remember how it was at that time because I wasn't involved.
Matthew wants to know, did the WWF ever try to sign RVD between 98 and 2000 when he was on top in ECW?
I reached out to him, yes. I did reach out to him. That's the time that I was telling you about at the Galaxy Theater and just let him know we were interested. But Rob was happy where he was in ECW.
Richie wants to know, did Vince ever want to change RVD's character?
Not really, no. He just wanted more of it. He wanted more personality. That was all.
Travis wants to know, if the drug policy wasn't as strict on weed, how big of a star do you think RVD could have been?
I think he could have gone to the moon. I think, like I said, I think he could have been a huge matinee idol, and he could have been the guy.
Nobody asked this. Conrad from Huntsville wants to know.
Oh, God.
Is Matt Riddle like the new RVD?
Yes. Matt Riddle's got a ton of talent, and, he was undefeated in UFC, but didn't want to stop smoking weed. But he's got a shitload of talent, man. I think he's another one that could be a huge star.
I mean, he's got money dripping. I mean, you can just look at him and say, fuck, Vince is going to love him. But then there's this other thing, and you're like, well, I don't know. Yeah. But, just natural ability and look, and he's got it.
I love him.
Mike wants to know, has Bruce ever tried to do the world record lift RVD does, the Van Dam lift?
I taught him how to do that, yeah.
I love you for that. And you taught him because you're a three-time
Black Belt Hall of Fame.
I like he did it 3 times, too. Frederick wants to know, did Paul Heyman push RVD to win the world title?
Absolutely. Paul pushed from the moment that RVD came in to have him win the world title.
Danny wants to know, did y'all know that RVD was the whole fucking show at the beginning of the Invasion angle? Or was it after he saved that shitty Invasion pay-per-view with Jeff Hardy?
I don't know what shitty Invasion pay-per-view he's talking about.
I thought Invasion was pretty good.
So did I.